Welcome to our class on Jesus and his parables. I'm so glad you're joining us. Jesus was a master at telling stories, and we find many of these short stories or parables in Luke's gospel. These parables aren't simple stories for young kids, but are multi-layered, richly symbolic stories uncovering the truth of the kingdom of God, all set in the everyday world of Jesus' original audience. We need to recognize Jesus was, among other things, a theologian. He was respected as a rabbi and teacher. He was only 12 years old when his parents found him at the temple, asking questions and amazing the teachers with his understanding and answers. As a theologian, Jesus used stories to touch his audience at a deeper level than a logical, rational explanation could. Stories combine intellectual and emotional components that stimulate people's imagination. Jesus used parables to invite people into a better life and a deeper trust in God. I've gained a deeper understanding of Jesus' parables through the work of Dr. Ken Bailey, a missionary pastor and New Testament teacher who lived in Egypt, Lebanon, Jerusalem, and Cyprus for 60 years. He was fluent in Arabic, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Syriac, and was steeped in the folk culture and common sayings and stories of the Middle East. This background led Bailey to reread the Gospels, especially Jesus' parables, in their cultural context. In doing this, he became frustrated with the superficial understanding of the parables that we in the Western Church have, because it can sometimes lead to some wonky theology. So to decrease the chance of an inaccurate interpretation of the parables, we will attempt to do several things in this class. First, I'll use Dr. Ken Bailey's translation of the biblical text. His knowledge of the languages and the Middle Eastern culture is invaluable in seeing subtleties that are sometimes lost in other translations. Bailey's translations also help us see the literary forms Jesus employed a little easier. I encourage you to download these translations from the class website and follow along as we discuss each parable. We'll identify the audience Jesus was speaking to, for the audience helps us frame the reasons behind the questions Jesus is dealing with and the stories he tells to increase his listeners' grasp of the truths about the kingdom of God. We will also look at the culture of the people living in the Middle East at the time of Jesus. We'll try to uncover some of the nuances we here in the West lose, simply because aspects of Middle Eastern culture are unintelligible or unknown to us. As we study the parables of Jesus together, I think you may discover a depth of meaning for our own lives that just might surprise you. Components of the course include teaching videos and talk outlines, which include discussion questions that you can use either in your groups or on your own, along with a translation of the text by Dr. Ken Bailey. When the course opens, you'll receive a weekly email with the link to open the materials for that week. Finally, if you have any questions about the course, please contact Hope and we'll do our best to help. Our first class will be the parable of the three eager disciples, so please read Luke chapter 9, verses 57 to 62 to prepare. I'm really excited to see what God is going to do in your life as you explore Jesus' parables. See you in the first class.